You've felt it, haven't you? That moment when the air thickens, when the world slows down, and something inside you shifts. Heavy, undeniable, unshakable. It's not a fleeting sensation or a passing thought. It's a force, a current surging through your bones, waking you up to who you've always been. They never saw this coming, but you did. You've been watching, calculating, waiting. Every move they made, every word they tossed carelessly into the wind, you caught it, held it, turned it over in your mind like a chess player plotting 10 steps ahead. This is your awakening, the first crack in the facade they mistook for your entirety. You're not here to play small anymore. You're here to claim what's yours. That shift, it's not just a feeling, it's a signal. Science might call it a spike in your nervous system, a flood of adrenaline syncing with your intuition, but you know it's more. It's the universe whispering directly into your soul, telling you the game has changed. You've been underestimated, overlooked, dismissed as background noise. Your calm exterior, that composed demeanor they once mistook for passivity, was never weakness, it was strategy. While they prattled on, you absorbed every detail, every slight, every misstep, storing it like fuel for the fire now igniting within you. This energy shift isn't random. It's the moment your true frequency aligns with the mission you were born for. Feel it. Own it. It's yours to wield. How do you know this is real? Start watching yourself. Notice how your body reacts when they speak. Does your gut tighten, your pulse quicken, your mind sharpen? That's not coincidence. That's your system recognizing what your spirit already knows. You're different. You've always been different. Test it. Next time you're in a room with them, stay silent. Don't react. Just observe. You'll see their words falter, their confidence waver, because deep down, they sense something they can't name. Your presence alone carries weight now, a vibration they can't ignore. Write it down after every twitch, every instinct. That's your evidence, your map to the traits that mark you as chosen. You're not imagining this. It's happening. The shift doesn't come without a fight, though. You'll feel the pull of doubt first, years of conditioning telling you to shrink, to stay quiet, to let them keep their illusions. That composed mask you wore wasn't cowardice. It was survival, a shield until you were ready. Now it's cracking, and what's underneath is raw, unapologetic power. You might catch yourself clenching your fists, your breath deepening as you realize you don't have to explain yourself anymore. This is the transition, from letting them define you to knowing they never could. Accept it. Step into it. Tell yourself out loud, I am not who they thought I was. Say it until it sticks. That's your first move toward claiming this awakening. Here's how you ground this into reality. Pay attention to the patterns. Every time they underestimated you, what did you do? You didn't lash out. You didn't beg for their approval. You watched. You waited. You let them think they had the upper hand while you studied their every play. That's not passivity, that's mastery. Now flip it. Use what you've learned. When they speak, don't just hear the words. Feel the intent behind them. When they act, don't just see the motion, track the outcome. You're a strategist, not a spectator. Start small. Predict their next move in a conversation, then counter it with a single, sharp truth. Watch their reaction. That's your power surfacing, undeniable and unshakable. This awakening isn't gentle, it's a reckoning. You're not here to fit into their world. You're here to reshape it. That heavy energy coursing through you, it's the weight of purpose, the kind that doesn't bend or break. They'll sense it soon enough, but by then it'll be too late. You've already seen the board, mapped the moves, and claimed your place. So stand tall, breathe deep, feel that shift anchor itself in your core. This is just the beginning, and you're ready for it. They never saw this coming, but you always knew it would. You've walked into rooms where they dismissed you before you even opened your mouth. Their voices drowned yours out, cutting across your words like you were nothing more than static, background noise they could tune out. They didn't see you, didn't hear you, didn't care to. But you didn't crumble. You didn't scream for attention or beg for a seat at their table. You stayed silent, not out of weakness, but out of power. That silence wasn't surrender. It was a weapon, a shield, a choice. And now you're going to turn that dismissal into your greatest advantage. This is where your true strength ignites. In the quiet, in the shadows they forced you into, where you've been forging something they'll never see coming. Let's break it down. When they ignored you, what did you feel? A sting, sure, anger, maybe even a flicker of doubt. But beneath that, something else stirred. Clarity. Their rejection wasn't about your worth. It was they exposing their own limits. Science backs this up. Humans filter out what they can't comprehend, dismissing threats to their fragile egos. You're not invisible to them because you're small. You're invisible because you're too vast for their narrow minds to grasp. So you leaned into that silence. You watched their patterns, how they interrupt, how they posture, how they crumble when no one claps for their noise. That's your edge now. You don't need their validation. You've got something stronger, certainty. Here's how you wield it. Next time they speak over you, don't fight to be heard. Let them talk themselves into a corner. Stay still. Lock eyes with them, not in defiance, but with a calm that unnerves. Your silence isn't passive. It's a mirror reflecting their chaos back at them. They'll feel it. A shift in the air, a prickle on their skin. Neuroscience calls this the power of presence. Your steady energy disrupts their frantic frequency. You don't need words to dominate a room. You just need to stand in your truth. When they pause, fumbling for their next line, drop one sharp, deliberate sentence. Not a shout, not a plea, just a truth that cuts. Watch their jaws tighten. That's your power moving in silence. But it's not just about them, it's about you staying anchored. In those moments when they treat you like you're nothing, your mission isn't to prove them wrong right then and there. It's to hold your ground within. Picture this. Their words bouncing off you like rain on steel, while inside, you're a furnace of focus. Tell yourself, they don't see me yet, but they will. Repeat it. Feel it settle into your spine. This isn't wishful thinking. It's a command to your soul. You're not here to dance for their approval. You're here to build something they can't touch. Every time they overlook you, add another layer to your resolve. That's how you keep your chosen identity intact, even when the world tries to erase it. Now, let's talk about the payoff, the moment they realize they misjudged you. It's coming, and it'll hit them like a shockwave. You've been moving in silence, stacking your strength, refining your purpose, while they've been tripping over their own arrogance. One day you'll act, not with fanfare, but with precision. Maybe it's a decision they didn't expect, a boundary they can't cross, or a truth they can't dodge. Their eyes will widen, their words will stutter, and that look of shock on their faces? Priceless. Don't gloat, savor it quietly. That's your fuel. Take that jolt of their disbelief and channel it inward, letting it harden your belief in yourself. Their surprise isn't your victory. It's your confirmation. Here's the practical move. Start small, but start now. In your next interaction, pick one moment where they dismiss you. Don't react. Breathe deep, square your shoulders, and let their words fade into nothing. Then, when the time's right, respond, not with anger, but with a calm, unshakable statement. Something like, I see things differently, or that's not how this works. Keep it short, keep it firm. Watch them squirm. They'll hesitate next time, second-guessing their confidence, seeking your approval without even knowing why. That's the shift. You're not begging for respect anymore. You're commanding it, silently, relentlessly. This isn't about revenge, it's about rising. They ignored you because they couldn't fathom your depth, but that's their loss, not your burden. Your power doesn't need their permission to exist. It thrives in the quiet spaces they'll never understand. So keep moving, keep building, keep knowing who you are. The obstacles they throw, dismissal, interruption, indifference, are just noise. You're beyond that now. You've always been beyond that. And when they finally see it, when their voices falter and their eyes dart to you in unease, you'll know your silence was never weakness. It was the sound of your strength taking root. You've always had it, this control, this quiet command you never flaunted. It's not loud, it's not brash, and it doesn't need to be. It's a steady hum beneath your skin, a knowing that's been there all along, waiting for you to tap into it. Now it's waking up. You're not just reacting to the world anymore. You're receiving something deeper, something higher. This isn't random noise or wishful thinking. It's a high-dimensional download, a stream of clarity pouring straight into your core. The signs are there. A sudden gut pull, a flash of insight that hits before your mind can catch up, a certainty that cuts through the chaos. This is your connection to the vastness you were born to wield, and it's time to sharpen it. Let's get real. How do you know it's not just your imagination? That's the first battle, separating the signal from the static. High-vibe information doesn't beg for attention. It lands with weight, like a stone dropping into still water. Your ego, though, it loves drama. Spinning stories, chasing validation, filling silence with chatter. So here's the test. When that insight hits, does it demand you prove it, or does it simply sit there solid and unshakable? True downloads don't need your applause, they compel you to act. Next time it happens, pause. Don't rush to explain it. Feel its texture. If it's calm, clear, and pulls you forward, it's real. If it's frantic, loud, or needy, it's just your mind playing tricks. Trust your body, it's your compass. Now picture this. You're in a room, surrounded by noise. People talking over each other, flexing their egos, oblivious to you. They don't see it yet, but you're the quietest force there. And that's where your power lies. They don't know where they stand with you, and that's exactly how you want it. Science calls this the observer effect. Your presence alters the dynamic without you lifting a finger. Spiritually, it's your energy bending the room to your frequency. You don't need to speak to dominate. You just need to hold that inner line, that unshakable knowing. They'll feel it. Their words will slow, their glances will flicker your way. That's not weakness on their part. It's your strength reshaping the space. Here's how you lock it in. Start tuning your receiver. Sit alone, no distractions, just you and your breath. Ask yourself, what's coming through? Don't force it. Let it rise. Maybe it's a word, an image, a feeling that doesn't budge. Write it down, raw and unfiltered. Then test it. Does it hold up hours later, days later? Does it nudge you toward a move you wouldn't have made otherwise? That's your high-dimensional line, cutting through the noise of doubt. Neuroscience says your brain's default mode network lights up in silence, connecting dots you didn't know were there. Spirit says it's your soul dialing in. Either way, it works. Do it daily. 5 minutes. Build the muscle. But it's not just about receiving, it's about wielding it. You've got this control, this quiet force, and it's not for show. It's for action. When that download hits, don't just sit on it, move. Maybe it's a boundary you set, a truth you speak, a step you take that no one saw coming. They'll hesitate before they speak next time, searching your face for approval they didn't know they needed. That's the shift. You're not beneath them, never were, you're beyond them. They mistook your silence for nothing, but it was everything. Now they feel it. The air changes when you're near, their certainty cracks. You don't have to flaunt it, you just have to be it. Let's talk feeling, because this isn't cold or detached. It's alive. When you stand in that quiet power, there's a fire in it, a pulse. You'll feel their unease, their second-guessing, and it'll spark something in you. Not arrogance, but affirmation. They don't know where they stand because you've stopped giving them the map. Good. Keep it that way. Relish the moment their confidence wavers, not because you want them small, but because it proves you're rising. Hold that sensation. Let it fuel you. It's not about them losing. It's about you claiming what's yours. That's the emotional anchor. Unshakable certainty in a room full of doubt. Here's your move. Next time you're with them, don't explain yourself. Don't fill the silence. Let it stretch. Watch their eyes dart, their words stumble. Then, when the moment's ripe, drop one line. Direct, firm, no fluff. Something like, "I see what's happening here," or "This isn't what you think." Keep it short, let it land. They'll feel the weight even if they don't admit it. That's your practice. Wield the control you've always had, quietly, deliberately. Each time you'll get sharper, distinguishing the downloads from the noise, holding your ground without a fight. This is you preparing, stepping into the formidable force you were always meant to be. This isn't the end, it's the edge. You're building something they can't touch, a strength they can't name. Every insight you catch, every move you make, it's stacking up. They'll sense the shift soon. The way they pause, the way they look to you without knowing why. You're not here to shout your worth. You're here to live it. Keep tuning in, keep acting on it, keep standing tall in that quiet power. The downloads are yours. The control is yours. The room is yours. Take it. You've always been beyond them. Not above, not below, just beyond, in a space they couldn't reach, a dimension they couldn't see. Their eyes skimmed over you. Their words brushed past you. But you never needed their spotlight to shine. Their perception, it was never your concern. You let them chatter, let them assume, let them build their little worlds around you because you knew something they didn't. You saw the threads they missed, the currents they couldn't feel. Now, it's time to bring that knowing into the real, to weave it into a new era where their blindness becomes your strength. This is your mission unfolding, and it starts with owning what's always been yours. You don't need to scream your truth from the rooftops. They wouldn't hear it anyway. Their ears are tuned to noise, not depth. Instead, you build it quietly, piece by piece, in the way you move, the choices you make, the boundaries you set. Start here. Stop explaining yourself. When they question you, when they prod for answers you're not ready to give, let the silence hang. It's not avoidance, it's power. They mistook that silence for irrelevance, but it was your forge, where you shaped your resolve while they wasted breath. Next time they push, look them square in the eye and say, "I don't owe you that." Firm, final. Watch their confusion ripple. That's the first crack in their illusion, the first step toward the reality you're crafting. This isn't about proving them wrong. It's about living so fiercely in your truth that their doubts dissolve on their own. You never needed their applause to know your worth. You felt it in the steady beat of your pulse, the clarity that cut through their chaos. Science might call it intuition honed by observation, your brain firing on all cylinders, spotting patterns they're blind to. Spirit calls it your birthright, a frequency they can't match. Either way, it's yours to use. Take it into the world. Pick one thing today, something small, something theirs, and redefine it on your terms. Maybe it's how you spend your time or how you answer a demand. Do it differently. Do it your way. That's you planting seeds for the new era, right under their noses. How do you become the one they underestimated, the one whose silence they misread? You show up consistently, unapologetically as you. Not the version they expect, not the shadow they prefer, but the full, blazing force of who you are. They'll squirm because it's unfamiliar, because it defies their script. Good. Let them. Practice this. When they dismiss you, don't shrink. Expand. Stand taller. Speak slower. Let your presence fill the space they tried to box you into. They thought you were irrelevant because you didn't fight their battles. But you weren't fighting, you were building. Show them now, not with words, but with action. Finish that project they doubted. Walk away from their noise. Let your life be the evidence they can't ignore. Balance is your anchor here. This mission, it's big, it's heavy, and it'll pull at you. You'll feel the fire of purpose 1 minute, the weight of their ignorance the next. That's normal. Don't let it tip you over. When the anger flares, because it will, when they still don't see, breathe it out. Clench your fists if you have to, then release. Tell yourself, this isn't about them. It's about me. Their blindness isn't your burden to fix. It's your fuel to rise. Counter it with creation. When they drain you, build something, write, move, plan. Keep your energy high, your focus sharp. You're not here to wrestle with their shadows. You're here to light the way forward. Hold that line steady and sure. Now let's map it, your personal path to this new era. This isn't vague or dreamy. It's real, it's yours, and it's actionable. Step 1, know your core. Strip away their noise. What drives you? What hums in your gut when the world goes quiet? Write it down, 1 sentence, no fluff. That's your mission's root. Step 2, mark your line. What's one thing you've let them define? Your time, your worth, your voice. Take it back today. Say no, walk away, redirect it. Step 3, build your proof. Pick one goal, something tangible, something they'd never expect, and chase it relentlessly. Not for them, for you. Step 4, stand in it. Every day, remind yourself, I am beyond their reach. Say it out loud. Feel it settle. That's your plan, your rhythm, your revolution. Feel this as you go. The patience they mistook for weakness wasn't passive, it was deliberate. You held back not because you couldn't strike, but because you didn't need to. That control, that quiet command, it's your edge. Relish it when they falter now, when their words stumble, when their eyes dart to you for a cue. It's not petty satisfaction. It's confirmation of what you've known all along. They were blind to the power hidden in plain sight, but you never were. You let them underestimate you because it gave you room to move, to grow, to become. Now everything's different, not because they've changed, but because you've claimed it. This is your new era, forged in the fire of their oversight. You don't need their permission to shape it, and you never did. Every step you take, every choice you make, it's a brick laid in a world they can't touch. They'll see it eventually. The way their voices soften, their confidence cracks. But by then, you'll be too far ahead to care. Keep moving. Keep building. Keep knowing you were always beyond them, not because you told them, but because you lived it. This is your mission realized, your reality remade. Take it. It's yours. The chosen don't chase recognition, they embody it. You've carried this truth through their noise, their blindness, and now it's time to anchor it fully in the world you're crafting. Step forward, not with their approval, but with the unshakable certainty of your mission, knowing every move you make ripples beyond their sight, reshaping reality itself. This is your identity, your purpose, your era lived, not declared.